Hey. Owie. Gotta get this video done before my cat comes down and starts screaming to get my attention. She's like an emo kid, only she just meows a lot instead of cutting herself. And the #1 reason why cats are better than babies is nobody really cares as much if you shake a cat around. Why is it that when there's a cat in a horror movie that's meant to scare either the character or the audience, it always sounds like it just got back from being burned alive? Moreover, why would you use a cat instead of a much more frightening animal like any other animal? It's the most impractical way to try and scare somebody, because in what universe are people frightened by the smallest, fluffiest house pet worth having? And sampling that sound must have been interesting, like they're in the studio just with a bucket of kittens juggling them and recording the audio like some kind of horrible clown. Alright guys, this isn't working. Does anybody have a lighter? It's really difficult to mind juggling when your hands are full. Dick and balls joke. Whenever I watch ghost hunting shows and they cut away to a clip of a hidden camera capturing something flying across the room, I always like to imagine that there's somebody just barely out of frame throwing whatever it was that they caught on camera. Just then, a hidden camera I had set up in my basement for really just no reason captured this footage. Whoa! EVP recordings always depict some kind of disgusting grunting noise like you caught the ghost mid-dump. A lot of ghost shows ascend to an entirely new echelon when you imagine somebody just shitting their pants over top of a wireless mic because they love how authentic the groaning sound is when it comes directly from the depths of their cavernous bowels. And how come we don't ever see any translucent spirits of the long deceased with just a full-on erection? Autoerotic asphyxiation is a thing that does exist, and so there have to be at least 100 ghosts that are the product of human beings who choke to death in the middle of doing their business, and subsequently that business is left incomplete. And now that ghost's particular unfinished business is to ejaculate while thinking of a pretty lady. My old dead uncle's spirit will never rest in death until he achieves the explosive orgasm that he so dearly wanted in life. Last week, Matt and I did a video detailing a few things that one should do in order to avoid dying in a horror movie. One of the things that we didn't touch on, however, was the pet test. I've noticed that in a lot of scary movies, the first person to notice a ghost in the house is the animal, and usually they'll voice their complaint by just not even coming in. Parents, being the complete and utter idiots that they are, will usually ignore the pet's physical complaint about even entering the premises, and then eventually their bed catches fire at 3 a.m. and they die a fiery, painful death in front of their children. All this could have been avoided if the family had taken a second to pay attention to the animal which, although stupid enough to eat its own shit, somehow manages to be smart enough to recognize when there's a haunting. The pet test is a very easy and definitive way to determine if there are any ghosts in the house, and if so, where specifically. All you gotta do is pick up your animal and procedurally carry them through every room while gauging their reaction. If at any point they constantly stare at the corner of a floor or a ceiling, or freak out and run away forever, you should also freak out and run away forever. It's always good to have some ghost detectors around, just all the time. That way you'll be the first to know if there's any spooky apparitions trying to shove their wiener in your mouth. There's so many movies about Ouija boards that you think every facet of the ritual process is covered, but what they very rarely mention is the jerk-off that you're with who insists on moving the little thing that everybody puts their hands on. Every circle of friends has that one asshole who's willing to ruin an entire night of entertainment by actually trying to convince everybody else that the ghost just called the person beside him a dick face. Hey, fun fact, if you're channeling a demon, he probably doesn't even know what a dick face is because he is eons old, and I bet they had different names for those things back then. And if you are that person, let me give you some advice. Don't let the people you're with find out that you've been dicking around, because if they do, you've basically just volunteered yourself to get ghost pranked for the rest of the night. So don't fall asleep. And if you do fall asleep, don't be surprised when you wake up in the morning to find that you have far fewer friends than you did the night before, because spoiler alert, we all hate you now. And that is based on a true story that happened to me. Seems like the easiest way to convince somebody that your house is haunted when they're supposed to be a credible witness in your defense is to just invite them over for a dinner party and then wait for the shit to happen. If your sentence starts with, "I know this sounds crazy, but," chances are the person's gonna think that you're crazy regardless of what you're saying. "I know this sounds crazy, but there's a demon's foot in the kitchen and he keeps wiggling his toes in my face." So just skip that whole part, bring them over for brunch, and then put the foot in their mouth. And if they need more convincing after that, just stop being friends with them forever and find someone else. Now, I have yet to meet somebody worth spending time with who would need more persuading after the foot of a demon was in their mouth. Plus, if they were being a jerk about it, you get the added bonus of being able to make a joke about how they already have a demon's foot in their mouth, so they don't have enough room for their own. That is a strong ender. How many ghosts does it take to screw in a light bulb? I don't have a punchline. Leave me a punchline in the comments, I guess.